everyone. It's so good to have you today on this beautiful, beautiful May afternoon. And we just want to welcome you to Recovery in Action. And we really appreciate you tuning in. And I have a very, very special guest today. I'm so glad that Lindsay Patterson is here with us today. And we're going to talk about her new journey in being our state representative coming in. She won the primary, and she'll be in the fall election. And we're just looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the election in the fall. But I'm pretty confident you're going to be all right.
I hope so.
So I just want to tell everyone about events that's happening in Fayette County, Connersville area. And every night of the week, there is a meeting. And we want you to know, as long as there's breath in your body, there's hope. There's people out there that can help the families. There's groups out there that can help with anxiety, with depression. And there's just so much out there to offer everyone. And on Monday nights, there's Better Days. It is downtown on Central Avenue, and that is a Christian faith-based group for people that are struggling. And then on Monday night on Erie Avenue at Community Gospel, they have an anxiety and depression group for anyone. Everyone is welcome. Linda Long does that. On Tuesday nights, there's Brianna's Hope, and that is over at Cross Point Biker Church. And on Wednesday evening, we have Celebrate Recovery, and that is at Growing Branches for Christ. And that is starts at 6 o'clock, 5:30. They have snacks and drinks. And then on Wednesday night also, they have AA meeting over on McCann Street in the little church there by Eastview School. And Thursday night, they have an AA group and NA group. And now that the Connection Cafe is open, you can always go down. They have stuff going on, groups. They have the harm reduction. They have, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on with Charmin. And you're welcome to go down and see them on Friday evenings. They have, we have the AA and NA over on McCann Street also. And then Saturday morning, we have Pastor Frank that has another Brianna's Hope. And then on Sunday evening, we have at the St. Gabriel's Parish House, we have an AA group. And then always remember on Sunday and Wednesday, we, always tell you that there's many church doors open, many worship places that you can go, and they always welcome you with open arms. But we really want to tell you we have our fall event coming up on September 24th. And on that, we're very excited. I was just telling Lindsay, we're doing a recovery festival this year. It will be held in the gymnasium at the Miller Building. And then that evening, we will follow up with a banquet with Dr. Douglas Bradburn as our speaker. And the public will be invited. We'll be selling tickets, and I'll have more information on that to come. So right now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Lindsay Patterson.
Thank you for having me, Sharon.
Well, I am honored that you came.
Thank you.
Okay, now with, and like we said, I really feel like that, District 55, you're going to be our new state representative. And so just tell me a little about it. In the recovery community, what does it look like for you, and how is it that you want to help?
Well, the community recovery for me is community involvement. I think that's extremely important. There needs to be a lot of support when you're dealing with something like that, especially a community like Fayette County that's been hit so hard with the drug crisis. I think that's huge. I think the church needs to get involved. I've sat down with Better Days, and we talked about, Brandy and I have been keeping in communication as well. And we've talked about, they do a lot of faith-based recovery, which is awesome. I know it takes a lot of different recoveries, but I think it's amazing that they do that. But she and I have talked about it, and what we talked about was the church involvement.
Yeah.
That it's hard for them to get the church involved. And as a Christian, that's it's sad to me that we're not getting more involved. And I hate to see that because, the Bible talks about taking care of orphans and widows, and the church never really did that. And now, unfortunately, the government does, and that's not always the best case. So for me, I think community, the church getting involved, organizations like the House of Ruth and the Connection Cafe and Better Days, that's all so very important, and I just think we need to be able to support that.
And we were talking years ago when the House of Ruth first opened. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, seriously, just to have, we never even went to meetings because there wasn't that many. Oh, we had, there was a couple AA, which AA is great. I would never discredit them. And then NA came along and just different avenues. But now there's something going on. And I'm like you, the community support is phenomenal. We have to have that.
Yeah.
One person cannot do it.
No.
One organization cannot do it. And this is a nationwide, epidemic that's going on. I mean, and with the pandemic, things has gotten worse. And it's one of those things, and when you and I had talked before, you had said, because now at state level, I mean, you're going to be able to be a voice for people that you can, you can take it to senators, you can take it to the Congress, you can take it to different people, and know the people, and that can help in rural areas. We're very rural in this, in this area, and we need a voice of someone that is going to, stand up for people.
Yeah, I get chills even thinking about that, that I could be a part of that. That makes me feel really good and happy.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. But has recovery been a part of your life? Have you known people in recovery, or is it just in your heart?
Well, I really got a huge thing in my heart for it when I sat down with Charmin the very first time, and she just kind of made me see things in a different way.
Yes.
But I've never personally dealt with addiction. My dad was an alcoholic, and he had a really bad car accident when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and has not drank a drop since. And up until that point, I didn't know my dad really, really well. But honestly, after that, I just couldn't ask for a better dad. So I would love for everyone to get to experience that has a dad or a mom that's in addiction, and then they get to see that side of recovery and them getting better. That is amazing. And I'm so thankful that God blessed me with my father, that I was able to have that. And
that's what the House of Ruth is about, because that's what we want, the reunification with family, with moms and their children and their husbands or their fathers, whatever it takes, fathers and mothers, and it takes everyone working together for sure. It just don't happen.
No.
It takes work. Well, what changes do you feel need to take place from what you've seen, because you've traveled a lot here lately? What do you see that we need to change? What's something?
I think that the stigma, it's so bad. It's just, and like what we were talking about earlier, when you talk about babies, everyone wants to get involved and they want to save babies, and that's amazing. That's a huge thing for me, being pro-life. But when you talk about an adult, it's like, well, they got themselves there. And I'm not going to lie, I've had that stance myself. I've thought, well, that was a choice that you made. And unfortunately, whether you made the choice or not, it's still an issue. It doesn't negate the fact that it still needs help. Those people still need help, and they still need to be loved and cared for and watched over, and things done for them. And so that's really important to me. I think that sitting down with Charmin and then being with you and Brandy and people like that, just talking to me and seeing that side that I've never seen before has been amazing for me to understand what I need to do and just the path that I need to take to help. And I've said from the start, whether win or lose, I'm in this. I want to help. I want to do whatever I can So that's important for me. As far as change, I just think that's the biggest thing is people getting involved and people not seeing it as such a stigma. It's hard not to see it that way. But, you know, especially if you haven't been directly affected by it. A lot of us have been indirectly affected by it, but not so much directly. Then it's a different issue when you're directly affected by it.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Well, when if it's a mother, you know, your sister, whoever, I mean, the entire family is affected.
Absolutely.
It's just not the person that is, you know, having this substance use disorder. It's the entire family. It's their children. Or if they don't have children, it's their parents. It's, you know, how many people has lost their children to overdoses, and you know, they're like, if I could have just, or what if, you know, but there's that support of having groups to where they can go to, you know, just, they used to have Al-Anon a lot, which we don't have it a lot. But now there's groups similar to that that they can go to. That's like Celebrate Recovery on Wednesday nights. It's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And it's people that are hurting. It doesn't have to be someone just in, you know, addiction. It can be someone that has a child in addiction. And there's people there that have children in addiction that they can talk to, that they can relate to. Because sometimes you feel like you're alone.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, well, you know, no one understands what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Well, there are people that do. But if you don't know what you don't know, you can't get help. And so I'm like you, I'm just excited to all the different groups that we have and all the different meetings that we have now. And I've listened to the news where at state and local levels, changes are being made in laws. I mean, things are happening. The overdose rate, yes, is still way out of, you know, out of control. But at least things are happening. You know, with COVID, I think things kind of, you know, got pushed back a little bit. You know, well, COVID. Well, the opiate never stopped.
Exactly.
None of that stopped. Meth, anything, it didn't stop. It actually got worse. Yes. And, you know, yes, we need to make sure that COVID doesn't, you know, rise again. Absolutely. I had COVID. I know. It ain't no joke. But I mean, but neither is overdose.
Right.
Neither is addiction. Neither is, you know, families that are suffering. So I'm like you. I mean, I want to be that voice. I want to be that advocate that, you know, will go in and fight for these people.
And I can see you doing that, Shannon. I'm figuring that out about you, which is awesome.
Because, you know, everyone, and you were saying, you know, the stigma, because it is true. Yes, they are adults. Yes, they should have made better choices, but they didn't, and this is the outcome. But they don't have to stay there. They don't have to live there, but they need help to get out of it. You know.
Absolutely.
So, so how do you think you're going to be able to help?
Well, I obviously, like what you were saying with being at the State House, that holds some. I would never consider myself to be of importance. That's just not the kind of person I am. I'm a pretty humble person. But I would like to think that when you do hold a position, that people do listen.
Yes.
And I can approach people and ask them for help and say, hey, you know, let's get on this. Let's do whatever we can financially, hard work, time, energy, and passion, you know, just getting involved. So that'll be my biggest thing. Obviously, I want to help wherever I can and create. Well, one of the things that I thought was really interesting about Zach with the sheriff's race is he had talked about getting preachers in the jail. And I think that's so important. When I was younger, I mean, I've always been in church. When I was younger, we had a preacher that would always go into the jails and, you know, give them Bibles and talk to them about things. And it's just amazing what the church can do. If the church would, I mean, we've become a little bit complacent and a little bit lazy in our lives. And I just think if we could all pull together and work together, it would be huge. And I would like to believe that maybe I can create some of that coming to people and saying, you know, as a state rep, hey, let's do this. Let's, you know, let's get involved and let's do whatever we can to make our communities better. Because if you have a better community, everything's better. You know, family life's better. And that's the biggest thing that we need to deal with right now is getting families back
Yes.
together with what you're talking about, just reuniting and recovery. And
Well, stronger families make stronger communities.
absolutely.
And it starts in the family. And I think with all the addiction and the people that, and the rearrest, the people that, you know, just the reoccurring, you know, people, I mean, things have to change. What we used to do, and I know you've probably heard me say this, but what we used to do isn't working anymore.
It's not.
We have to change. Laws have to be changed. You know, statutes, ordinances, different things need to be changed that we can help accommodate the people today.
Yeah.
You know, and I know, you know, this is a sore subject, but the borders. I mean, they said it's being flooded.
Yeah.
The drugs, you know, our interstates. You know, the drugs that are flowing, they talk about 70, you know, Interstate 70 being one of the prime because of Dayton, Indianapolis, you know, all the different, you know, cities it goes through is one of the major thoroughfares for not just even drugs, but sex trafficking. I mean, and there's so much more, the abuse, the things that go on with just the drug community is just phenomenal. It just doesn't stop.
No.
But if we don't reach one person and help them so they can help someone and they can encourage someone and someone can see that. I know the women that come through the House of Ruth and stuff, that's what they talk about. You know, they seen someone else, and the women in the house will, you know, be like, you know, if I can do it, anybody can. And that's really true.
It is.
You know, and as long as there's breath in their body, there's hope.
Yeah.
And yes, we get tired of seeing him in the newspaper. We get tired of hearing about him going to jail. We get tired of, you know, parents bailing them out, you know, putting their houses up, you know, for their bonds. And it's like, you know, but every time, every meeting you can get them to, every church service you can get them to, every time, I mean, as long as they're going and they're making that. Sometimes we look at it as a failure because maybe they relapse, but they're still alive.
Absolutely.
And as long as they're trying, I have always said this, it is bigger than they are. And people look at me, you know, they're like, but addiction is bigger than what the person is. It
really
takes a
is.
hold on them. It's not just a simple little, you know, okay, they don't wake up one day and say, okay, today I think I'll be a drug addict. I think I'll lose my house. I think I'll lose my kids. I'll lose everything that I own, and I'm just going to live this way. That's not how it starts.
No.
That's how it usually ends. But that's when, you know, that's when we have to have these programs, have these organizations, have these groups, have these meetings that's going to help.
Right.
And that's how I'm like you. I'm excited to, you know, for you to be at the state level and the different people that has visited, you know, that Senator Braun, I mean, he seems to be on board, you know, from what we talked that evening. And, you know, and that's where it starts. It has to start locally. My son is a missionary, you know, around the world. God didn't call me for the world. He called me for my community.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like this is where my ministry, this is what I want to do, is help. If I can help one or two people here, then they can help someone else.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're doing a fabulous job of it.
well, you're going to be
really
too,
are.
because you're going to be like state.
Well,
So you're going to be
I've
getting
enjoyed,
there.
though, getting to know you because when you were talking about legalities need to change, you're well informed in that stuff. And I loved it. The one night that we had the meeting, I was like, man, Sharon knows her stuff. I was so impressed. And I've not been a part of the State House. So it's so nice to be able to get to know people like you that are like, hey, Lindsay, this is what needs to happen. And, you know, this is where we can start. And I think it's also, I love the fact that we've gotten this friendship to be able to do
Yes,
that, and
absolutely.
bringing other groups together to try to, bounce off of one another and say, hey,
Yes.
this is what we can do for your group, and this is what we can all do together.
Yeah.
And
This
I
is
think
what's
that's-
working here. Let's
Exactly.
try it there.
Yeah.
When people, because
Yeah.
people are going to be coming to you.
Yeah.
Well, this is what's working in Fayette County. Why don't you
Absolutely.
implement this? Absolutely. And that's the stuff that's going to help.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for, and
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that you're willing to take the time and we can talk about things. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how's your
Very important.
husband? How does he feel about all
He
this?
loves it. He loves it. I told him he missed his calling. Like he is campaign manager extraordinaire. I'm not kidding. I was like, where did this even come from? He just had ideas that, people were like, who did that? My husband did. What?
Yeah.
He just, I don't know. He's always thinking, a lot of late nights of not sleeping because he's thinking, okay, now we're going to do this and we're going to do that. So it was really exciting, but he's been amazing through all this and very supportive, and just anything that I've thrown out, he's like, okay, let's do it.
Isn't that funny?
So it's been good. But and the kids too. My boys are really excited too. They got out of school the day. Probably shouldn't tell this, but they got out the day of to help with the election, and they were so excited. And they were wearing their T-shirts at school with my stuff on it, and it makes me happy to think that it's something that they're excited about and proud of. So,
but that's educational just for them to help you with that.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many kids get to help in a campaign for someone running for an office? I mean, that's. I know my grandkids. They were so excited about it because they were helping me too put out signs and stuff. You know, and they just said, and my one granddaughter, she said, she's only in like second grade. She said, "Are you famous, Grandma?" I said,
That's
"No,
awesome.
no, I'm not." She said, "The kids in my class say you are."
Aw, that's sweet.
But I just think it's cute, because
cute.
that's how. But it is educational.
It is.
Because they ask me all kinds of questions that they wouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
If someone isn't running for an office or something. So I think it is educational. So they learned something that day when you.
Absolutely. And I want them to be. I want them to be excited about politics too, because I would like to believe that we're raising up some pretty good boys.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be a reflection on, our future for the future generations to come. And so that's important to me.
Yeah. And they're going to know they can make a difference.
Absolutely.
My mom did. I can too. And that's the real stuff.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's real stuff for sure. Okay, will you work with the local law enforcement to help with the opiate problem?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, and I know listening to, all the sheriffs during any of the meet and greets that we went to, or question and answers, whatever, they all kind of said the same thing.
Yeah.
There's too many people in our jails. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
So I would love to be able to work with them and whatever we can, again, bounce off ideas off of each other. I don't know the legal side of it.
Right.
It would be nice to sit down and talk to somebody who understands all that, and we can come up with a plan, figure this out,
Well, and it's just like, I think the night when we had our meet and greet, or the last one, there was 159 people in jail with the capacity of 114.
Yeah, and he said, what did they want, 86?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
And they wanted him.
Yeah, I was like.
And he was like, well, that's not going to happen.
No. Yeah, so, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But I'd love to work with them.
Yeah. And I think, and that's the main thing, that's where it starts, because that's where the people that are struggling the most end up.
Absolutely.
Because of their choices, because of the things that's going on. And that's where families are struggling. Because, I mean, the mothers that are crying, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? We have to be able to offer something else.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, I have a lot of plans, when I don't know if I'll have an opponent in the fall, but I have a lot of plans for the local, and I had someone say, well, that's not your job description. Well, my job description is to make a difference.
Absolutely.
That's, that's my goal.
Yeah.
And I may not be in the office to do that, but I will be able to meet people that can get it done.
Absolutely.
And that's where we have a voice. That's where we're going to be the advocate, and we're going to be the one stepping in and saying, why not try this?
Yeah.
You know, this, you know, A, B, and C isn't working, but maybe D, E, and F will.
Right.
You know, so let's do this.
And work together. Who cares if it's your job?
Exactly.
If it needs done, if there's trash
Just
on the thing, pick it up. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that may be my job description, but let's broaden what we do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, the collaboration of working with each other, the things that we can get done. It takes a team.
It does.
You know, it's not a one person thing, you know, but if we need something done, let's all work together to achieve that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I told someone, you know, not too long ago. They said, you know, well, what are you going to do if you don't, you know, win this office? Same thing I always did. Nothing changes.
That's right.
Win or lose. I'm like you know, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. I love this community.
I do too.
You know, I love it. Been here all of my life, and wouldn't, you know, there's a lot of things I want to change, but I wouldn't change where I live.
Yeah.
You know, for anything. We could move, you know, but I don't want to.
No.
You
It's
know,
a great community.
my family is here, my friends is here, and I enjoy it here. Nothing like going home.
Yeah, absolutely. I love being close because, you know, I'm just in Brookville, and my husband's from here. So I've been a part of Fayette County for a long time.
Now, will your office actually be at the State House? Where will you be out of?
Yeah, what I'm hearing is about 4 or 5 months out of the year, maybe a little longer during budget years. I won't live in Indianapolis, but there will be times where I have to stay there.
Right.
But for the most part, I'll be home.
Yeah.
So kind of come back and forth.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah.
We like to travel. We like to spend the night places. So, and my boys are excited about that too.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, taking them through the State House, showing them everything.
Oh, yeah. We've already done that once.
Have
and
you?
then we let them go to a Pacers game by themselves. Mommy didn't choose it, but Daddy did.
Yeah.
But they had a great time. So
Well,
they're very
good.
good kids. And
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to be excited.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be it's just going to be great. It is. I'm excited for you. And I just want to thank everyone for allowing us to come into your homes today. And I just want to thank Lindsay for being here. She's going to be such an inspiration, and so looking forward to working with her and the many people that she's going to meet. And we just want to thank you, and we want you to know that there's support out there. There are people that want to help you. There are people that can help you if you just want to reach out. And you can contact me anytime through Facebook, or you can contact me through the House of Ruth. If there's anything that I can do, encourage you, tell you about meetings, tell you about groups, anything that we need to do, we're here and we're available. And I just want to tell you to have a blessed day. God bless you, and look forward to seeing you next month.